You're listening to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast with Terrence Murphy, where we cover sales, investing, and entrepreneurship with an emphasis on real estate. Each podcast, Terrence and his guests will bring you informative and inspiring information within the real estate industry.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. My guest today is Chris Waters. He's a founder and CEO of Waters International Realty based out of Austin. He started as a real estate agent helping families and investors buy properties in Central Texas. In 2015, he began expanding and opened branches across the United States. He also co-authored the $1 Million Real Estate Team with his business partner, Bradley Pounds. Chris's other ventures are investments, tech investments, advisory roles in Mint Title, WHD Investments, and WIR Publishing Inc. The hashtag is #Real Deal. So check him out. He's doing some amazing things. I'm excited to have him on the show today. So we're here with another episode of Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. I got a great friend, Chris Waters, on the show with me today. Really excited to have him, man. My wife and I went down probably a year or so ago, had lunch with him. Hell, driving in, we see his face on every billboard in Austin. So he's doing some amazing things. He's a founder and CEO of Waters International Realty, and he is the atypical real estate entrepreneur. So welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, Terrence, thanks for having me on, man. I was watching the Green Bay Packers this past week, looking at Davante Adams crushing it, and I was thinking about you.
Yeah, I went back for the first time. Me and my wife went back.
I saw the pictures.
Last year. Yeah. And the cool thing is, my locker, there's no one in my locker. And my locker is right by Davante Adams. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, man. God had a different plan, obviously pushed me towards this direction, but I'm excited because I get to meet people like you. I get to do amazing things and I get to just create. And that's the part that I'm the most passionate about. So, yeah, man. So I always start off each show with a quote. And then the one I got today is, average leaders have quotes, good leaders have a plan, and exceptional leaders have a system. Urban Meyer. So I just think about that. And as you've really scaled your business, walk me through your story on kind of A to Z. How did you get into real estate? How did you become the real estate entrepreneur that you are? Just kind of give me that quick flyover of who you are and what you do and how you've gotten to this point.
Yeah. So I was going to Texas State College right up the road from not too far from A&M and got a degree in finance. And I had a lawn mowing business paying my way through college. And, probably like you, I was one of those kids, hustling at a really young age, like working at a really young age, like elementary school. And when I was graduating college my senior year, I had this one customer, and if he tunes into this, I'm not afraid to tell him he was a huge pain in the ass as a customer. He had a career in finance, and I was at that point going on job interviews and stuff, and I didn't really feel like it was an alignment for me as I was going on these jobs in corporate America. And he told me about real estate, and I joined his team as a buyer's agent at Keller. This was 2006. At that point in my life, it was like, I came from very humble beginnings, but a lot of upward trajectory.
Yep.
And, to be quite honest, looking back, I was 21 years old and I wasn't very, very humble at that point or very coachable, to be honest. And, I joined his team, sold a number of houses in my first 3 to 4 months, but I wasn't happy at all. And I felt like there were a lot of limitations. And to his credit, he was trying to keep me focused, but I just wasn't having it. I just wasn't being coachable or humble enough. And so I had a guy I sold a house to that told me about another broker, and I went to go work for this other broker after 4 or 5 months. And just my perspective at that moment was my success was very mediocre and I was really frustrated. And that broker recommended I get into the oil and gas business. And so in 2006, 2007, the oil and gas market was really hot. I was what's called a landman. And so I was like, what the heck? I was 21 years old. I went into it. And, to be quite honest, for the subsequent 2 years after that, as I was doing it, I was completely miserable. And for those entire 2 years, I was still drawn to real estate. The thing that I really was always fascinated about in the real estate industry is how the lead generation stuff is always evolving. And it's kind of like this, like this lab, if you will, trying to figure out what works, to get people to respond and whatnot.
Yep.
And then in 2009, let's see, end of 2008, beginning of 2009, the market's crashing. Dow Jones, right, is at 5,000. And I think the Dow Jones is at like 30,000 now, right? It's crazy.
Wow.
So market's crashing. They laid off like 1,000 people in the oil and gas industry in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it was a huge blessing for me because I was so miserable. And, I was trying to figure out what to go into, after I got out of the oil and gas thing. And for the whole time I was doing the oil and gas thing, every night I was learning about SEO, digital marketing, and all this kind of stuff. And you can go back to these, like, I was writing blog articles, and like I wasn't even actively working with clients, and I actually didn't even like writing, but I was like trying to figure out how to scale up the lead generation stuff. And so when the market crashed and oil and gas business totally crashed, I was trying to figure out what to invest in. Again, still didn't have a lot of humility at that point in my life, and I had heard that when the market goes down, typically alcohol sales go up. And like I'm actually a pretty healthy guy. I work out a lot, try to eat super healthy. I'm not going out and partying every weekend, drinking a lot. And I invested in this bar and restaurant. And after the first couple months, like I started, realizing number one, I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't even know how to serve a drink. Somebody asked, I had no clue what I was doing. And the second thing I realized is I did not nearly have anywhere close to enough money to keep this business to sustain and have success.
Mm-hmm.
And so after about 9 months, we had locks put on the door by the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission and our landlord, and we were shut down, and I was dead broke. And
Mm-hmm.
I was at, like one of the lowest points in my life. At that point, I was, 23, 24 years old. And I ended up sleeping on my girlfriend's red IKEA couch because I had way too much pride to go back and live with my parents. And, I was trying to figure out, what do I do? And, at that moment, like the thing at, being 24 years old, the only thing I knew really how to do was, I knew how to prospect real estate, and get clients, whatever. And so at the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, I was like, I was super humble. And I was, because of that humility, I was incredibly focused, and I just really committed to being successful as an agent. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when things really started, taking off, when that kind of humility and focus was really in alignment. And to be honest, I struggled a lot in the first 6 months, but then I got involved in coaching, and that really radically changed my life. Was learning from other people that had had success, and as my success grew, I needed to hire other people around me to to help manage the business. And in 3 years, we went from 0 to over 100 million in sales. And we're going to do our one group in Austin will do over $250 million in sales this year.
Awesome,
we're in 15 other expansion markets across the United States and Canada. We have a division that buys and sells properties. I've gotten into investment in the technology sector of real estate. So the last 10 years has been quite a blessing, to say the least.
That's awesome, bro. So walk me through, when you started scaling up, right? So real quick, so you have the team in Austin, and then you have 16 other expansion teams, correct?
15. We're 15 markets total, yeah.
So 16, okay, 15, 16. Walk me through the makeup of your team there in Austin that's doing 250 million in volume a year, just kind of the hierarchy or structure.
Yeah, so we have a president that oversees all the leadership. So on the leadership side, we have somebody overseeing the inside sales team. We have somebody overseeing the listing agents. We have somebody overseeing the buyer agents. We have an operations team leader. We have an office manager, and we also have a trainer. And so that's kind of like the upper echelon of folks that are helping lead the people underneath them. And then, they're leading a team of inside sales agents, buyer agents, listing agents, and transaction management personnel. So that's kind of a three level approach, if you will.
So you're probably about 50 people?
Yeah, we have we have right now 6 listing agents. We have about 20 buyers agents, and then about 15 staff, including leadership.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Man, you've grown since we've had lunch.
This past year, I'll be honest, it was we represented Zillow offers in their program to buy and sell properties. And so that was, 200 plus properties we added this year through that. We actually submitted our termination, and we terminated our arrangement with Zillow. And so, it's kind of interesting as as I'm reflecting on 2020 and thinking about like, well, how are we going to make up those 220 closings in 2021? It's really forcing us to think outside of the box to, not take a step backwards. So
yeah,
it's been an interesting month.
You'll figure it out, bro. That's what you do. So if I'm a new agent, right, and let's just say I'm an individual agent, I got, I'm starting to gain some traction as a salesperson, and I said, hey, I want to keep scaling, I want to keep growing. What would be like the top 3 things, or what would be the guidance or coaching or wisdom that you would send back my way?
To your point, one of the biggest challenges for a lot of real estate agents is they kind of reach this pinnacle in their career. I think as a solo agent with like literally no assistance, like you can kind of have a balanced life, if you will, working 50, 60 hours a week, selling 30 to 40 homes. But like once you exceed that number, and you can sell more, you can sell like 60, 70, but like it's going to require an assistant. So I think the very first thing, for anybody that's an agent that's having some success as an agent, and they're trying to figure out how do they grow to that next level, it begins with learning how to create leverage for yourself through others.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to start, essentially surrounding yourself with people that can help you with the non-revenue producing activities.
Yep.
That way you can focus more on the revenue producing activities. And then, as you scale, ultimately what ends up happening is you get more and more people around you that become more and more specialized, which improves the overall, effectiveness of the team.
Yeah. And it also improves the overall experience of the customer too.
Yeah.
No, that's good, bro. So as I'm thinking through that, right, you get the assistant, you start leveraging your team. Then obviously you got to focus on your lead gen. That's really what you kind of build the foundation. Because I think a lot of times what I've seen real estate agents do is they're a great realtor at under 40 transactions. And then they try to start going above that many transactions and still put the signs out, put the lock boxes out, do all the showings, go on every listing appointment. And it's just not scalable and it's not realistic. And that's where you see a lot of agents burn out really quick. So if I was a brand new agent now, let's even rewind back even further than that. When you got into the industry, what was the most surprising thing that you wish you would have known?
There's essentially like 3, I like using this baseball analogy. It's like there's 3 bases from us each, and each base represents a skill that you need to master. And I would be reminding myself, like, you're in the sales business. And so if you don't know how to convert leads and into face-to-face appointments and convert those face-to-face appointments into deals, no matter how good you are at lead generation, it doesn't matter. So anyways, back to the baseball analogy, like the key skills, simplistically, you need to master is inside sales, which is learning how to book appointments. Second, you need to master outside sales, which is how do you get people committed to working with you that have no idea who you are? Like the road to riches in real estate is learning how to convert people that have no idea who you are. If you can do that, you're going to build a massive database faster than anybody else, and you're going to make more money than anybody else. So number 2 is converting people face to face in representation agreements. And number 3 is where the market expertise component comes in, which is getting the deal under contract and navigating the escrow challenges to get the deal to closing. And so those are the 3 overarching skills you've got to knock down from a skills perspective to have success.
No, I love it, man. And I think that's a fundamental truth for any sales, but for sure real estate sales. So there's a lot of wisdom in that. So if I ask you, like, what's one concept? Because I always have people that email me and text me or send me messages on social media saying, well, how would I calculate a cap rate? Or how do I know what my ROI is? Or how do I, win $1 million listing? What's one concept that you want to leave to our audience that you feel like is a misnomer or something that people really make it more complicated than what it is. Does that make sense what I'm asking? Like just a concept.
From a lead generation perspective.
There you go.
Number one, not all leads are created equal.
Duh, that's good.
And every single lead generation strategy or marketing medium, it works. But there's like a formula to make each of them work. And it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, or I don't know, like it's like a math equation, however you want to think about it. Like every lead generation source works, but you need to know what the expectation should be around the formula, if you will. So, like when I talk about formula, what I mean is like, what's the conversion cycle of the lead source? Every single lead source has a conversion cycle predicated on the consumer intent. And consumer intent is derived by where the consumer is engaging with you and submitting their information.
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, I think a lot of people know like Zillow leads are very high quality. Like Zillow leads are very high quality compared to like Google or Facebook. And so it's like, why are Zillow leads better than Google or Facebook? And, truthfully, the reason why the leads are better is because the consumer intent is better. So if you go down that rabbit hole, why is consumer intent stronger on Zillow versus Google or Facebook? And there's like this tiny little 2 millimeter shift that Zillow did that brokerages don't. And that is that when Zillow gets people on their platform, they don't require forced registration.
Wow.
A consumer has to voluntarily submit their information. And so the conversion rates of leads on Zillow are higher simply because of the non-forced registration component.
Wow.
At the end of the day, whether your brokerage site or Zillow, like we're all getting traffic to our website pretty much through the same mechanisms. It's Google, Facebook, maybe your for sale signs, maybe you run radio, TV ads, whatever. Like we're all getting traffic to our websites somehow, some way, from top of funnel perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's kind of a misnomer. It's like everybody's going to the same place to develop traffic from a top of funnel perspective, and I think that's a misnomer. Like people, I hear a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh yeah, the leads on that platform are amazing," or "The leads on that platform are amazing." It's like, well, everybody's getting search traffic from pretty much the same places. It's just like, what are you doing to make tiny little shifts to improve the conversion metrics from a consumer experience perspective? So that's one that comes off the top of my head.
No, that's awesome. That's deep. And I think it would force most broker owners, team leaders to really understand that concept, because when you're trying to scale, if you don't get that, and I've talked to my team over and over, and you get those sales agents say, "Oh, those aren't good leads." Well, every lead's not equal, but every lead has a process to follow. So if it's a home value lead versus someone sending a message saying, "I want to see this property," it's obviously going to have a different quality. So that's really good, bro. So you mentioned earlier, you're doing some expansion now, and actually you've been doing it for some years. Walk me through the vision behind expansion. Did you feel like you were just out of space in Austin? Why did you decide to start expanding? Let's talk about that.
Outbound prospecting is starting to die, to be quite honest. Like the idea of outbound prospecting is, fading. People's cell phone numbers now say spam on them, right? When you do a lot of calling, you'll get marked as spam. And so we're moving into this like permission-based marketing world. And so in 2014, 2015, when we started expanding in other markets, no matter how much gas I threw on the fire from a marketing perspective, like what ended up happening was our client acquisition costs started going up. So like, for example, I could keep throwing more gas at it, pouring more gas in the fire, but like the fire wasn't getting any bigger because I just kind of hit that law of diminishing return. Like the fire ain't going to get no bigger.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I could do to expand locally was to increase my agent count, like basically have a lot more agents in the company.
Yep.
And so I had to make a decision. Do we want to have a team? Do we want to have a business that's focused on agent productivity, or do we want to have a business focused on agent count?
Wow, that's good.
And so for me, it was like, I don't know, there's just something that irks me about being around a lot of mediocre people and people just having like random success. Like maybe they do the job part-time or whatever. Like it's not in my DNA to have an organization with people like that. Nothing wrong with that. Like, hey, kudos to all the people out there that have jobs and do real estate part-time and close a couple deals a year. Kudos to you. But like, just, my purpose and what I wanted the organization to be about was like agent productivity. And I really, truly don't believe that like you can do both, and or you can't do both and have a great organization.
Yeah, you can't do it well.
We made a decision. We're going to keep it a smaller group and not be agent count driven, and and then start expanding in other territories. And so, 2014, we launched our first one. We partnered with an agent that was doing like 30 transactions. She had been in the business for about 10 years, and she couldn't figure out like how to grow beyond that. And we basically gave her our kind of business in the box, if you will. And in her first year, she went from 30 deals to just shy of 100.
Wow.
With her and two other people. And one of them was an assistant. And, now, she's recognized number one team in her city or whatever. We did the same thing. We kept, 2014, we had success with her. Then we partnered with someone else. Same deal. He went from like, 25, 30 deals to 25 to 30 per month, closings per month. And then we, went to another market. And he grew even faster. And so, in 2014, 2015, 2016, we were like, man, we're kind of onto something. Like we got a playbook that can help people consistently scale 300% or greater every year with a great deal of predictability. And, and so that's what we're all about now. It's about helping give people the business in the box so that they can scale. And they aren't leveraging my branding. So we basically are like kind of white labeling our broker in a box, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about giving them the playbook, the strategies, the lead generation mechanisms, the training for your agents. We built out like an LMS system online to, help you train your agents, like, all these certifications and tests, and then we also, out of our main hub in Austin, we run throughout the course of the week, training calls virtually. Which has been cool because of COVID, because it's like now everybody's used to it. Like, Tuesdays is inside sales focus, like helping people set appointments, objection handling, etc. Wednesdays is, buyer agent focus, converting people face to face. Thursdays, listing agent focus. We have a team leadership training call once a week. And so our expansion partners leverage us to help them, because when they're running around with their hair on fire, so they leverage us for the training stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, bro. Man. That makes a lot of sense. And I think the agent productivity versus the agent count is a decision that all brokers will have to make at some point. Like, what game are you going to play? Gary Keller told me last year when we were talking one-on-one, he said the massive model of having 200 agents or 250 agents plus is dying. And the tactical team model and the expansion model is kind of the next, horizon for a lot of guys. And so you just happen to be the real estate entrepreneur you are and very innovative, and you're just out early, right? There's not many guys that are already doing it. The Ben Kennys, the Chris Waters, the Adam Hergenrothers, the Tim Howes, you guys you saw it early. And so
yeah,
that's a blessing, man.
It's been a huge blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talk about technology, right, is that playing a role in your white labeling and kind of your business in a box? Talk to me about what you're doing with your brokerage, and then I want to talk about what you're investing into.
On the tech side, we had to invest a lot of money into a really robust Salesforce platform. Mm-hmm. So, what's interesting about Salesforce is like, unlike the real estate specific CRMs out there, Salesforce is just like this box. It's like a sandbox, and like it doesn't do anything unless you program it to do it. So there's pros and cons to that. Like, it's challenging to build out, but then you can like really customize it and trick it out to your specific business. So like for us, we have a lot of team members that work on one specific listing as an example. And so, we're able to like break down that customer journey and assign task lists to each user that's like facilitating that component of the customer journey within Salesforce, and it allows our team to communicate on the same deal behind the scenes, so we're all on the same page. So, we're using Salesforce in the back end. It's been incredibly impactful. It was a huge, huge struggle. And I mean, we've invested a lot of money, a tremendous amount of money in it. We have a full-time Salesforce administrator on the team. We hired a development company 5 years ago to start helping us build it out. But the thing is, actually, I honestly probably would not recommend people. If I could do it all over again, it's probably not what I would do. Yeah. The thing that I kind of discovered through that process of building out Salesforce is the biggest challenge in the real estate industry is there's a lot of great systems out there that are real estate specific, but they don't talk to each other. Like none of them. And so it's like, you're plugging and playing a lot of data in a lot of different systems, and it's very frustrating to manage. And, there's obviously human error and stuff. And so like I think the best, from a technological perspective, I think the best thing to do, and we're doing this using Salesforce, but again, I probably wouldn't do it again, but we're so deep now, the thing works perfectly for us. But what I would do is, from a technology perspective, this is actually what we tell our franchise partners is, if you think about your technology stack, you've got all of your lead generation systems at the top. Yep. So your number one objective is, how do I get it's called a bi-directional integration between my lead generation systems and my CRM system where the agents are managing the leads. Mm-hmm. And so that's, we use a tool called RealSync, RealSynch. And it's basically the plumbing to connect our systems. And so it pushes leads and the leads activity data into the CRM. And then if you're in the CRM and somebody unsubscribes, it then automatically updates that lead gen system. So anyways, establish like your lead gen systems, get them integrated to your CRM. And then your next component of your tech stack is transaction management. So get your CRM bi-directional integration with your transaction management CRM, get those integrated. And then the final integration is getting transaction management integrated with like QuickBooks or whatever accounting software you're using. And so very simplistically, that's kind of like the technology philosophy that we're implementing. And I didn't know this. I learned this from people much smarter than me. Basically, like the philosophy we're employing is kind of this idea of a best-in-class technology stack where you can like plug in systems as you want them and push systems out as they get outdated or you find something better. You mentioned Gary at KW, like they're going down this path of trying to build the all-in-one solution. And kudos to them for doing, trying to do that. I don't have a lot of feedback on it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know that if you're bootstrapping your business, like the best strategy is to do the best, the best-in-class tech stack, because it's, pennies compared to, tens of millions of dollars trying to build your all-in-one solution.
Yeah.
And in fact, and a lot of people might argue that it's like the better way to go because the industry does evolve and change a lot, specifically from a lead generation and client management perspective.
Yeah. No, that's good, bro.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. And so one of my questions, and I got a couple more, is I always ask you guys, no matter if I've had builders on, I've had developers, I've had commercial investors, multifamily guys. It's one thing, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about, you have a career and then your money has a career. So obviously your career is being a real estate broker, expansion leader, all those things. Yep. What career is your money? Is it in, you said real estate tech earlier, where are you investing your money and where do you see opportunity in the next 12 to 24 months?
The things I'm investing in are high yield, housing assets.
Yep.
And so I'm putting money in that. I'm also funding like development projects. So for example, like, you get a builder on deck, they manage the whole project, you know what I mean? And like, we just stick to our core competency of helping them, tell them like how big to build it, yep. what it's going to sell for, what construction costs need to be. So I'm doing a lot of these like joint venture projects where I'm investing money into, I just bought a house across from Gary Keller. When Gary, I was funny. I don't know if Gary will listen to this, but I've actually never met Gary in person. I've never even talked to him on the phone. We had an email exchange one time, but his driveway, like when he pulls out of his driveway, it's like the front of the house. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I tore the house down, and I was thinking about putting up like a billboard. I'm not going to do it, but I thought it'd be funny if he's listening to this. I thought he'd get a kick out of that.
He probably will, man. Gary's a great dude. You know, Tim ended up introducing me to him, and we were supposed to meet for like 10, 15 minutes. And it was like 3-4 hours later, he and I and Josh team were the only 3 people in the room along with my wife. And we're on the board just like, it's like talking plays. We were just like on the whiteboards, just like when we got done, if you looked at those whiteboards of all the stuff we were going back and forth about. But man, yeah, he's been an inspiration to me for sure. And
he's been an inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah, he sets the pace for sure. He's doing some great stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm putting up like we're putting up a $7 million spec house there. So like got money put up there. We do some high end flips and stuff like that. I'm investing in, I put a lot of cash in the TD Ameritrade account, and it's invested in like very, low risk stuff. Yep. But then we leverage that cash for what's called an asset guidance line of credit. And so that's what gives us the ability to get, I get yield on the cash into the Ameritrade, and then I can collateralize that, leveraging my expertise in real estate and partnering with other people.
And getting higher returns.
On the single family or on the housing side, like our market in Austin really took off. And so I had a number of multifamily properties and whatnot. And, it was just stupid not to sell them. So, I mean, I'm actively looking for other places where literally the only place I see opportunity in the housing sector for, if you're just from a monthly yield perspective, are in the tertiary markets, like these small markets where, you can buy, $50,000 house and it rents out for $700. I don't know, those are that's the only place I see opportunity, because apartment complexes are trading at like crazy high prices. I mean, we're in the middle of an asset. I don't know if you want to say asset bubble, but we kind of are. I mean, interest rates are crazy low. Fed's pumping a lot of money into the economy. And so we're in this huge asset bubble. And we're in an asset bubble. And as long as the Federal Reserve manipulates the system, we're going to continue being in this huge asset bubble. And so, I'm preaching to choir here. This is why we've got a big disparity between the rich and the poor, because the rich, their assets are going up, big time in value. Stocks are going up huge in value. We're in an asset bubble. That it is what it is.
It's a weird time, man. 2020 has been a weird year for sure. So obviously the book you recommended, which I'm excited to talk about, I've read it. So tell me why you recommended The $1 Million Real Estate Team.
Well, I mean, number
it's
one,
your book.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. My mom bought me, speaking of Gary Keller, my mom bought me Gary Keller's book when I graduated college in 2006. And, it was a huge source of inspiration when I read that book. And in 2010, I started following that as the model. And, high level strategies and stuff are really good. But I found some, I don't want to call them holes. It's just when the book got published in 98, I think the game has changed a lot since then. These lead generation companies didn't exist. Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been in it a while, lead generation is not, in my mind, as big of a deal from a lead gen perspective. It's just not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And so the book mentions you're in the lead generation game, as an agent, but in my mind, it's I'm not in the lead gen game. That's easy. I'm in the people game. I'm in the game of recruiting and selecting talent and training and leading people and trying to build leaders.
Yeah.
That's the game I'm in, to build a business that is self-sustaining. And so, and I'm not describing Gary by any means. A lot has changed, and I know they're working on an updated version of the book.
But that's why you wrote your book.
Yeah, I mean, I've over the years, I've sat in these masterminds, gone to the conferences, and a lot of people are asking how are you scaling so fast? And I started kind of quietly sharing with people what we were doing. And then they started taking off. And then, I was in 2014, that's when we, started our first expansion team. And, when you it's pretty amazing when she literally grew 300% the first year. I was dang, it was really pretty amazing feeling to be able to have that kind of impact on somebody's life. And, we did it again, second year, third year, another one. And, I was like, man, I think we're really onto something here. And so, anyways, just, I get lots of people always ask me what that journey looked like. And so I had somebody tell me, I think it was back in 2017, they're like, man, you just need to document your journey of like, it's, very tactically how you guys scaled it. And so that's kind of how the book came about. For anybody that's listening to this, I'm happy to send you a free copy. If you go to we spun up a landing, so you can go buy the book on Amazon and Audible and all that stuff, and it's like $20 or whatever.
Yep.
We spun up a landing page where you can get it for free. The only thing you got to pay is your shipping. Just pay the shipping.
Okay.
It's themilliondollarrealestateteam.com.
Okay, and the book is themilliondollarrealestateteam.com. It's super.
There he is.
themilliondollarrealestateteam.com.
$1,000realestateteam.com. You can go get the book. You just got to pay for your shipping. Yeah, and I want you to leave all that. I got like 2 more questions, then we'll jump off. 2 things, man. Obviously, growth is important for you. What are you doing to personally invest back into yourself right now? And then what's your big why? Like, why do you get up and grind and work the way you do?
Yeah. So first one is, man, honestly, when I think about like when I've had setbacks over the last 10 years, it's because I wasn't in coaching. Like I did have an advisor or a coach. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I've got, I'm surrounding myself with coaches and advisors. So I have a leadership coach I work with. I have a business advisor I work with. The business advisor is through an organization called CEO Coaching International. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like my business advisor strategy person that I talk to. The leadership coach guy's name is Ron Kessler, amazing guy.
Good. And then what's your big why, bro? Why do you get up every day and grind?
It's a couple things. It's legacy, positive impact, and winning. Ultimately, it's like those 3 things. You want to have a positive impact, with your time here on planet Earth. I want to have a big positive impact. I want to win, and I want to grow and just see what's humanly possible. So there you go. Tony Robbins has that little acronym, CANI, constant and never ending improvement. I feel that's probably a commonality you and I both have. It's just like, let's see how far we can push this thing and see what's possible.
That's who we are, bro. Well, what's the final thoughts you want to leave for our listeners? Any final thoughts? And then before we close, I want you to leave where people can find you, social media, website, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, just reflecting on the last 10 years, I mean, I cannot credit enough of what I've done. I just can't credit enough of it to the coaches and advisors I've had. If you're a high driving personality, like it's so easy to like go down these rabbit holes and get distracted. And like the double-edged sword of being a high driver, it's really easy to want to jump on a lot of opportunities. And so by like constantly having 1 or 2 people that are, an advisor or a coach, I think it's paramount to your success. So I heard on Shark Tank, I think it was Damon John said on Shark Tank, pioneers get slaughtered and settlers prosper. Wow. And so unless you're somebody that's going out there and raising hundreds of millions of dollars, like Zillow, Redfin, etc., like innovating and like creating a new wheel is the odds of success are highly against you.
Yeah.
And so go, like no matter where it is you want to go in life or whatever you want to do, like go find somebody you can learn from that's already been there and build a foundation off, proven systems and processes, especially if you're bootstrapping it. And then once you have a solid foundation and you have lots of cash flow and you have the discretionary income to, try to innovate and do the R&D stuff, like that's when you can, go down the wild hair of trying to be a pioneer. But first build a strong foundation and, surround yourself with great advisors. And like, I wouldn't even say an accountability partner. I would say take it a step further and like, have a relationship where you're like paying somebody to help hold you accountable. And ideally somebody that's already been where you want to go. That's the primo coach or advisor is having someone you're paying that's holding you accountable and has been where you want to go.
Wow, that's deep, bro. Well, man, how can people find you on social media and leave that out there?
So Instagram and Facebook, just Google Christopher Waters Instagram. You'll find me. You'll see a lot of pictures, real estate specific and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm super easy to find. Hard to miss me on Google. Just Google my name and you'll find my social media profiles and shoot me a DM and tell people they can go check out that book. We'll ship it to you free. Just cover the shipping. I think shipping is like $5 or $6.
Yeah.
We've had quite a number of books that I've had to ship out to Greece and stuff. We had some dude come in from Greece and a guy take a picture of the book on the Great Wall of China and stuff. And we were in the beginning just sending the book out and I was getting these shipping charges of $50, $60, $70, $80. And I was like, all right, we got to start charging for shipping.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'll hook you up with a book, but just cover the shipping costs depending on wherever you are in the world.
Man, thanks for your inspiration, bro. Thanks for your friendship. Thank you for that day. We got to hang out with you in Austin and we'll stay in touch. And thank you for being the real estate entrepreneur that you are and being on the podcast, man. And we'll stay in touch.
Terrence, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Real Estate Entrepreneur with Terrence Murphy. Please subscribe on whichever platform you are listening and consider leaving a 5-star review, as that will help us gain traction and continue to bring you knowledge in the real estate industry. For more content, head over to terrencemurphy.com.